The scalpel's truth, a surgeon's most terrifying discovery. What if I told you that a man who spent 20 years cutting open dead bodies found God because of one body he could not explain? This is the true story of a famous anatomist who mocked the idea of a soul until a mysterious death shook his science, shattered his pride, and led him to Islam. What he saw in that cold dissection room will send chills down your spine. Stay with me, because this story might change the way you see life and death. Dr. Kareem Lawson did not believe in God. He believed in muscles, in nerves, in the clean white lines of tendons stretching across bone. He believed in the cold certainty of the scalpel and the quiet obedience of the dead. For 20 years he had been an anatomist, a professor in a famous medical university, a man who spent his life opening human bodies and teaching others what lay inside. He was known for his steady hands and his fearless mind. Nothing frightened him. Not blood, not death, not the smell of formaldehyde that clung to his clothes even after he went home. He used to say, "When you open enough bodies, you stop believing in souls. You see the heart. You see the brain. There is nothing else." His students respected him. Some feared him. He demanded precision. "The human body is a machine," he would say in his deep, calm voice. "If you understand the parts, you understand the whole." He often mocked religious students gently but firmly. "Show me where the soul hides," he would challenge. "Is it under the ribs? Behind the eyes? Between the lungs?" One winter, a case arrived that would change his life forever. It was late evening when the call came from a hospital. A young man had died after a tragic accident. The body was being transferred to the university for detailed examination because the case was unusual. There were no major injuries that explained his sudden death. The doctors were confused. They wanted Dr. Lawson to study it. When the body arrived, it was covered with a simple white sheet. The tag on the toe read, Yusuf Ahmad, age 23. Dr. Lawson pulled back the sheet. The young man's face was calm, almost peaceful. His beard was short and neat. His lips were slightly parted, as if he had been about to speak. There was something about his expression that unsettled Dr. Lawson, though he did not know why. "Strange," he muttered. "No visible trauma." He began the examination the next morning in front of his students. The room was cold. Bright lights shone down on the steel table. The air was heavy with chemical smell. Around him stood 12 students, silent and ready. "Observe carefully," Dr. Lawson said. "We search for truth, not stories." As he made the first incision, something unexpected happened. His hand trembled. It had never trembled before. He paused, cleared his throat, continued. The blade moved through the skin with practiced ease. He explained each layer as he opened the chest cavity. Muscles, ribs, lungs. But when he reached the heart, he stopped speaking. The heart was perfectly healthy, strong, no sign of disease, no blockage, no rupture. "This makes no sense," he whispered. He continued the examination over the next few days. Brain, organs, blood vessels, everything was normal. The young man should have been alive. The mystery disturbed him deeply. For the first time in his career, science had no answer. That night, Dr. Lawson could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Yusuf's calm face. He heard his own voice mocking the idea of a soul. He felt again the strange trembling in his hand. In the following days, he decided to learn more about the young man. It was not his usual practice, but something pulled him. He contacted the hospital and asked about Yusuf's background. He was a student, the nurse said. Very kind, very religious, always praying. Even the day he died, witnesses said he was on his way to the mosque. Dr. Lawson felt a tightness in his chest. He found Yusuf's file and saw that the time of death had been recorded at sunset. Maghrib time, as Muslims call it. For reasons he did not understand, Dr. Lawson searched online that night. He typed, "What do Muslims believe about death?" He expected myths, stories, superstitions. Instead, he found verses from the Quran. Every soul shall taste death. He read about how Muslims believe the soul leaves the body at a fixed time, written by God before birth. He read about how death is not the end, but a beginning. He read about accountability, about standing before the Creator. He felt uncomfortable. Coincidence, he told himself. Emotion. But the discomfort did not leave. A week later, something even more horrifying happened. The university storage unit where Yusuf's body was kept before burial had strict temperature control. Yet one morning, a technician rushed into Dr. Lawson's office. "Sir, you need to see this." They entered the cold room. The other bodies showed normal signs of decay. But Yusuf's body was different. His face looked unchanged. His skin did not show the same breakdown. It was as if time had slowed for him. "This is impossible," Dr. Lawson whispered. They checked the temperature logs. Everything was normal. No mistake. One student, a quiet girl named Amina, looked at Dr. Lawson with wide eyes. "In Islam," she said softly, "we believe some people are honored in death." Dr. Lawson felt anger rise in him. "Science has explanations," he snapped. But his voice lacked strength. That night, he could not escape his thoughts. He sat alone in his dark office, staring at anatomical charts on the walls. For years, he had believed he understood life because he understood structure. But now he realized something terrifying. He had studied bodies, not life. He remembered his childhood. His mother had once taken him to church. He had laughed at the pastor's words. He had chosen science because it gave him control. But standing over Yusuf's body, he had felt no control. He began reading more about Islam in secret. He watched lectures. He listened to recitations of the Quran. The Arabic words, though he did not understand them fully, moved him in a strange way. They sounded powerful, certain. One verse struck him deeply. Do they not reflect upon themselves? Allah created the heavens and the earth and everything between them for a purpose. Purpose. He had never believed in purpose. Only process. Days turned into weeks. His students noticed he was quieter. He no longer mocked religious ideas. He seemed distracted during lectures. One evening, Amina approached him after class. "Sir," she said gently, "may I ask you something?" He nodded. "Why did you become an anatomist?" He smiled faintly. "To understand the human body." And after understanding it, she asked, "Did you understand the human being?" Her question pierced him like a blade. He could not answer. That weekend, he visited a mosque for the first time. He stood outside for several minutes, heart racing. He felt foolish. A respected professor entering a place he had once dismissed. But he stepped inside. The atmosphere was calm. Soft carpet under his feet. The sound of quiet recitation. People of different races standing shoulder to shoulder. He felt small. An elderly imam approached him kindly. "Welcome," he said. "Are you visiting?" Dr. Lawson hesitated. "I study the human body," he said awkwardly. "I have questions about the soul." The imam smiled gently. "Then you're searching for what cannot be cut open." They sat and talked for hours. The imam spoke about the harmony between science and faith, about how the Quran invites reflection on the human body as a sign of God, about how knowledge should lead to humility, not arrogance. Dr. Lawson felt tears in his eyes for the first time in many years. "I have opened hundreds of bodies," he confessed, "but I never found what makes them alive." The imam replied softly, "Because life is a gift from the one who gives it. You cannot find the giver with a scalpel." That night, Dr. Lawson had a dream. He was in the dissection room alone. The lights flickered. All the bodies on the tables suddenly sat up and looked at him. Their eyes were empty. They spoke in one voice. "What did you learn?" He tried to answer, but no sound came out. Then Yusuf stepped forward, his face glowing with calm. "You searched inside me," he said, "but you did not search inside yourself." Dr. Lawson woke up shaking. The next day, he returned to the mosque. His heart felt heavy but clear. He asked the imam, "What must a person do to become Muslim?" The imam looked at him with warmth. "Only to testify that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. To accept it sincerely." Dr. Lawson thought of his years of pride, his mocking words, his disbelief. "Can someone like me be forgiven?" he whispered. "God's mercy is greater than your past," the imam replied. With tears flowing down his face, in a simple room with a few witnesses, Dr. Kareem Lawson said the Shahida. His voice trembled, but this time not from fear. He felt something lift from his chest, like a weight he had carried all his life without knowing. In the weeks that followed, he changed quietly. He learned how to pray. He watched before prayer with careful attention, amazed at the beauty of simple acts. He read the Quran daily. Each verse felt like it was speaking directly to him. He also returned to Yusuf's family to give them the body for burial. He met Yusuf's father, a humble man with gentle eyes. "I'm sorry for your loss," Dr. Lawson said sincerely. The father smiled through tears. "We belong to Allah, and to Him we return." Dr. Lawson felt those words settle deep in his heart. Before the burial, he asked permission to attend. Standing at the grave, watching the young man lowered into the earth, he felt no horror this time, only a strange peace. He realized that for years he had been surrounded by death, but had never understood it. Death was not a monster in a cold room. It was a doorway. Back at the university, he changed his teaching. He still taught anatomy with excellence. He still demanded precision. But now, when he spoke of the heart, he mentioned how it beats without our command. When he described the brain, he spoke of the miracle of consciousness. He no longer mocked belief. Instead, he encouraged reflection. One day, a student asked him, "Professor, do you believe in the soul?" He paused, smiled gently. "Yes," he said, "and I believe it is the most important part of us." His journey was not easy. Some colleagues questioned him. Some mocked him the way he once mocked others. But he felt stronger than before, not because he had all the answers, but because he had found meaning. Years later, he would tell his story publicly. He would speak about the night his hands trembled, about the body that showed no decay, about the dream that shook him, about the verse that opened his heart. He would say, "I spent my life cutting into flesh, thinking I was searching for truth. But truth was waiting for me beyond the flesh." The anatomist who believed only in what he could see had discovered the unseen. And the man who once asked, "Where is the soul?" had finally found his own. If this story touched your heart, don't scroll away. Like this video, so more people can hear this powerful journey. Comment below. Every soul shall taste death if you believe life has a purpose. Share this with someone who is searching for truth. And subscribe to our channel for more real, emotional stories that inspire faith, reflection, and transformation. Your support helps spread light in a world that needs it.